trove were the supplies I'd been desperately lacking. I passed the time by rooting through checked luggage for clothes, cash, and other basic necessities. In a bright pink suitcase, covered in stickers advertising bands, I struck gold. Jeans, t-shirts, sweaters, all in my size. There was even a pair of tennis shoes, only half a size too small. The girl's wallet hadn't been among her belongings, but a large roll of global currency, the monetary system used everywhere in the world, which we called globes for short, had been stuffed inside of a lone sock. Stealing wasn't normally my M.O., but being on the run from an international agency hell-bent on making me their prisoner made for relaxed morals. Everything normal was out the window. Survival was king. So far, the only light in the bleakness of all of this running and surviving was my daily trip to the Giraffe, which included a big bowl of the tugboat stew. I was starving. Starving, but vigilant. As I crossed through the pub's entrance, I gave the area a quick sweep while barely moving my head. The hustling people in the rain seemed no more aware of me than they were of the individual stones beneath their feet. I was blending. Luckily, my eyes were light brown, not any of the obscure colors that immediately identified some as being talented. It would have made this whole flying under the radar thing much more problematic. Tug, the owner of the Flying Giraffe, was in his usual spot behind the bar. He raised one arthritic hand and waved. "Aye, Miss Kenley," the elderly man called, his Irish accent lyrical and soothing. "'Tis a wet one out there, isn't it?" "Sure is, Tug," I replied, crossing the scuffed planking of the floor and trying not to roll my sore eyes. So far, every day was a wet one in London, yet everyone seemed to comment on the weather. Back in Western Maryland, where my old school, the McDonough School for the Talented, was located, the weather was hot and dry this time of year. The thought brought a bittersweet memory to the forefront of my mind. As clear as if she stood in front of me, I could picture Alana Stillwater, my roommate and best friend, lifting her long dark hair with one hand and fanning her flushed cheeks with the other. "Ugh, it is so hot. I'll have to sleep naked tonight just to keep from sweating to death," she would say. All the boys would then get dreamy expressions as they imagined Alana nude. "Will you have the usual, then?" Tug's lilting accent recaptured my attention as I reached one of the suitable tables. The usual was a heavy bowl of stew and a chipped mug of piping hot black tea. "You must be reading my mind, Tug." "Thanks. Stew would be great." I tossed a rare smile his way. There wasn't much for me to smile about these days, and I knew my expression was a shadow of what it once was. Tug disappeared into the back, leaving my mind free to return to the past and Alana. A knot formed in the pit of my stomach. I had no idea where she was now. Did she survive the attack on D.C.? If so, was she in hiding, like me? Or had our enemies caught her? Don't think about that now. Your survival, your freedom. That's what is important. No matter how many times I said those same words, the heartache and worry over Lana's fate remained. It wasn't even just her I was worried about. I didn't know what had happened to any of my friends and classmates. I shrugged out of my navy raincoat and hung it on a hook next to the table in the back corner of the pub, next to a short hallway leading to the bathrooms. This was one of only 2 tables that served my purposes, something I'd determined the first time I ate here. The Giraffe had 3 points of entry and exit, one in the front, one in the kitchen, and a third, a fire door, by the women's restroom. From this table and the one beside it, I could see all 3, without leaving my back vulnerable. These small details were vital to my survival and status as a free woman. Thus far, luck had been on my side, and I had yet to encounter any united agents. But I wasn't so naive as to believe that they were no longer hunting me. One day, they would catch up with me. Even though I was far from helpless, I was greatly appreciative of any assistance fate threw my way. And not just with keeping me off of the radar. I felt fortunate to have found this place where people were kind and accepting, but didn't ask too many questions. In only a few short weeks, the Giraffe had become a second home for me. With everything else going on, the ever-present kindness from Tug and the break from watching my own back were the highlights of my days. In fact, relegating it to second best probably wasn't even accurate. The pub felt much more like home than where I laid my head at night. Tug emerged from the kitchen area. "Willow's got the kettle going now. Your tea will be out straight away, Miss Kenley," he assured me, hobbling back behind the bar to resume whatever activity my arrival had interrupted. "Thanks, Tug," I called back. Droplets of water plinked softly on the floorboard.